The other day, I realized something that I wish everybody could understand to their core. Stop pathologizing your desires. Stop healing your desires away. You are not broken. The things you want, the things you need, the things you desire, the things you feel deeply, deeply, deeply ashamed about, but still crave enormously, thoroughly, they're not symptoms. They are signals. They are pointing you towards where you have to go. You're not crazy for having desires, needs, energies, wants, ideas, visions, dreams that are different from what mainstream societal and cultural conditioning taught you what is normal and what you should need or should want or should desire. And once you truly realize what I'm telling here right now, once you truly understand that you have to stop pathologizing your desires, you have to stop healing your desires away, once you truly dare to reclaim, own and integrate all that you need, desire, and want, once you dare to acknowledge what you feel so ashamed about but deeply, deeply desire, once you dare to own that, you will feel so liberated, so free, so authentic, so powerful, so confident, so grounded, and you will literally start to feel your life force energy flow through you again. In our society, from a very young age, we are being raised through a certain view, through a certain lens, right? We are being raised in a certain paradigm of reality, a certain point of view. But that is just a story of what it means to be a human being. And every country, every culture, every religion, every society, every family has its own story of what is normal and what it means to be a decent, almost perfect human being. But every story already differs, right? Every culture, every country, every family system has a slightly different version of what it means to be a decent human being. And every story, every paradigm of reality, every point of view comes with values and ideas and beliefs of what is right and wrong, what is morally right and wrong, but also what you should do and should want and should desire. But this is all conditioning. This is just a story. And I hate to say it, but we are living in a very outdated story, a very outdated paradigm of reality that was created centuries and centuries ago by some person, probably man, but the people who had the most power to oppose that story unto others and to demand of the people who had less power to conform to that story and that idea of what it means to be a good woman, a good man. And we're all living in these stories, in this conditioning, in all these ideas and beliefs of what it means to be a good woman, a good man, a good person. And from that, growing up as a little child, in that system, in that story, in that paradigm of reality, we learn what is right, what is wrong, what you should feel good about, and what you should feel ashamed about. And shame or guilt, in essence, is not a very wrong feeling. I mean, we need a good portion of shame or guilt to not make it okay to unalive other people, right? For example, or to abuse other people. But we have been shamed for all kinds of things that aren't necessary to feel ashamed about. And once you realize that, it's so freeing. I talk a lot about that in all my videos, but once you realize that you are at a turning point where you can start to liberate yourself from all that is not serving you and holding you back and making you feel small and unworthy, which is not necessary at all, which is very liberating and healing. But because of that, because of all of that, we also learn from a very young age to not truly follow our desires, our wants, our needs. We learn to please, to make ourselves small. We learn to not make other people uncomfortable. Gosh, to not speak our truth, to not communicate our desires, our wishes, our authentic self. Because in so many ways, we learn to feel deeply ashamed for all kinds of things. Because we are a social species, we are very dependent on each other for survival, especially when we are little children. We need the people around us to feel good about us, because then they will take us in, and we need to have this safe container to grow up into a resourceful and resilient human being. So we are very dependent on the people around us to stay safe and survive. But we're not living in a very emotionally mature and safe world yet. We are slowly evolving emotionally, but we're not living in an emotionally mature world yet. So the authorities outside of us, when we are little, use our vulnerable energy and eat of that energy almost, and make us into little mini versions of themselves so that they feel good and safe and worthy and seen and validated, etc., but never really teaching us and giving us the tools to create a healthy sense of self and to grow up into a resourceful and resilient human being. Not because authorities outside of us, like parents, teachers, politicians, etc., intentionally want to do bad and manipulate you and abuse you. Of course, these are there too, the true abusers and manipulators, but I think that a lot of people are not truly aware what they are doing with their behavior and what they are asking of little children who are very vulnerable and afraid and dependent. But in essence, we learn as little children that it is safer to adapt, to conform, and to create a shame-based identity that keeps us in line and that makes us part of the group, that makes us conform and part of the group, of the in-group, that let the people that we are dependent on call us in, love us, see us, and validate us. It meets our needs. But with that come a lot of rules, unwritten rules, unspoken rules. With that come a lot of ideas, beliefs, shoulds and shoulds not, and punishment, shaming, blaming, mocking, ridiculing, rejecting, abandonment. So we learn certain parts of ourselves are welcome, then I get what I need. But the other parts are not welcome, so then I don't get what I need. So I have to adapt so I get what I need, right? Because of all of that, we never learn to create a healthy sense of self and to listen to the truth that is living inside of us and to grow up into a human being who dares to express itself authentically, who dares to listen to what comes up, communicate that, and start doing that. We are very inauthentic, suppressed human beings, right? So we also learn sometimes, or more often than we like, to suppress our desires, our wishes, our needs, especially when they are not the same as the group that we so desperately want to belong to survive. And from that moment on, from that creation of our shame-based identity to stay emotionally safe and survive, from the moment that we start to fragment our psyche and say to ourselves, these parts of me are allowed to exist, and these parts of me are not allowed to exist, and I have to suppress them and put them in the shadow chamber and never think of them again. And when they are triggered, I have to do my very best to not show them to the world. We learn to not listen to what comes up and to desires, needs, dreams, and visions that are living inside of us. So once these desires come up and they are very far away or a little far away from what is mainstream, from what is accepted, from what you've been brought up with, we think there's something wrong with us. We think we're broken. We think we're a bad human being. We think we're not worthy. We think we must do everything we can to stuff that away, because what will happen if people will find out that that desire or need or boundary or authentic self-expression is living inside of you? Because in some way it's still a survival response, right? It's still like a survival mechanism. We're still believing that we are this helpless little child because we never learned to truly take care of ourselves and stand up for ourselves and create a healthy container in which we can thrive. We learn to be dependent on the outside world for validation, for acknowledgement, for meeting our needs. And we created coping mechanisms that subconsciously and indirectly meet our needs. Because directly asking for what we need, that's not something you should do. That's something you should feel deeply ashamed about, etc. So what happens is, once we not truly conform, or once we not truly fit into what is accepted, and we find ourselves having desires, needs, authentic dreams, visions, character traits that are seen as not good, not normal, that won't make you function in the systems that we are living in right now, which are very oppressive in their nature themselves. You start to believe you're broken, there is something wrong with you, and you even try harder to suppress all kinds of parts inside of you so that you still fit in the group, the system that you feel dependent on for your survival. But this is all coming from the child's brain who thinks he or she is still very helpless, right? This child's brain, this survival instinct, the survival mechanism doesn't know you're an adult now who can take care of him or herself because you were never taught to trust the truth that is living inside of you and to be your own authority. So you start to believe, I have a desire, but that's not what other people desire. So it's probably trauma. I'm broken. I need to do something about it. I need to go to therapy because there is something wrong with me. Because if I would live out my entire authentic instinct, I would definitely not fit into that group anymore. Human beings were never here to fit in, to conform. We are here to evolve, to create, to expand. But to do that and to step into that life force energy and to allow yourself to live out that energy, you have to dare to let go of what is normal. You have to unshame all parts of yourself and you have to say, you know what? I'm not broken. I'm just not fitting in that story, that paradigm of reality that I grew up in. But it takes courage, right? It takes courage, but because it could be that you will be rejected or abandoned or mocked or ridiculed for stepping into your authentic self-expression because we live in a very, very, very oppressed, suppressed, inauthentic society. And when you feel stuck in this healing journey, when you feel insecure, when you are a people pleaser, when you feel stuck in your life, when you feel empty inside, depressed, anxious, or burnt out, having panic attacks, when you go into the mental health care system and you get diagnosed and labeled and there you are being seen as disordered, there is not something wrong with you. You are just actively suppressing your life force energy, your authentic energy, because you believe that that is wrong and there is something wrong with you for being that, for having those feelings, for feeling that energy that wants to be expressed, and you are actively suppressing. You're not broken, you are suppressed out of shame. And once you stop pathologizing your authentic self-expression, your anger, your sadness, your grief, your joy, your desires, your wishes, your dreams, and once you start to be curious towards them, once you start to investigate them, like, hey, wait, what if from today on I'm not feeling afraid of my anger or ashamed for being a little bit angry and feeling this hysterical woman inside of me who wants to scream and rage and throw a proper tantrum? What if I'm not going to therapy and say, oh, I feel so angry all the time, I want it to go away? No, what if I say, I have to listen to that anger. I have to listen to the message behind it. I have to listen to what it wants to tell me, what it wants to show me. I have to listen to the parts that I'm actively suppressing, because that is where your true liberation lies, and that is where true healing lies. It's not by pathologizing yourself. It's not by disordering or labeling yourself and thinking there's something wrong with you. No, it's saying, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. And I'm going to investigate what is living inside of me, and I'm going to listen to myself. And even if my desires or needs are crazy, I have to investigate them. I have to allow them in. I have to let them in. I don't have to let them go. I have to let them in. And when I let them in, I can stop fighting against it, and I can listen to it. And I can start with understanding what the needs behind it are, the needs behind your desires, the needs behind your dreams, behind your authentic self-expressions, behind your feelings, behind your emotions. And I can reverse the suppression. I can unshame myself, and I can see that I was never here to conform, to fit in, to play by the rules of a book that you've never written. You are here to break free from that, to break free from a stuck, traumatized, wounded family system, to break free from societal, cultural conditioning, to break free from gender oppression, to break free from race oppression, from sexism, from capitalism, from the rat race that we are conditioned and born into. You are here not to pathologize yourself, to label yourself, to feel disordered, to feel ashamed for who you truly are, and to hide yourself out of shame, to fit in and to function normal. You're here to break free from that, to wake up for that, to unshame yourself, to reclaim all the lost and wounded and hurt and suppressed parts and say, you know what? This is who I am. And when I'm being mocked or ridiculed for it, that's okay. Because when I dare to own it, to show it to the world, I don't have to hide it anymore. I can unshame myself. And when I unshame myself, I can start to play. I can be who I truly am. Then you're free. Free to be who you want to be. And I write about this in my ebook, Unshame Yourself. And you can download it for free. It's the entire journey of understanding why you feel unworthy, what your shame-based identity is, why you created it, what kind of mechanisms you've created to suppress yourself, what kind of beliefs you have, why you are broken, disordered, why there's something wrong with you, why that is not true, and how can you reverse, and how you can reverse that suppression of authenticity. And you know, the crazy thing is, the more you actively suppress your desires, they will not go away. They will not go away. The more you actively suppress emotions, they will not go away. They leak out subconsciously, unintentionally maybe, not always unintentionally. They leak out subconsciously, and you will try to do your best to indirectly meet those needs, fulfill your desires, or express your emotions. And that is when you become dishonest, not integer, inauthentic. That is when you become emotionally manipulative, pleasing, narcissistic, for example. That is when you become not always a nice person to be around. Because the more you actively suppress your desires, needs, boundaries, wishes, they will always find a way out. And it will happen indirectly and often in a manipulative way. And once you acknowledge your desires, your needs, your wishes, your boundaries, even when you feel ashamed for them, but once you acknowledge them and express them, communicate them, let people witness them, and together with you in relationship, in a safe container, investigate them, you unshame yourself, and you don't have to indirectly and subconsciously seek ways to meet them. You can, in a direct way, meet them and make them come true, live them out, or understand why they are there and what the needs and the messages are behind it, and then meet those needs actively, consciously, deliberately. This is when you become the most liberated, the most whole, the most healed, and a very nice, fun, trustworthy, and safe person to be around with. If you need help with this, I'm writing about this in my ebook, Unshame Yourself. You can download it for free. The entire journey is there, and my entire platform, Psychology, is built for this entire journey. You can find all the tools that I've created in my web shop, but I also have a membership that gives you access to all the tools at once. And if you seek one-on-one guidance with this, check this link below. I will put it in the video. To book one-on-one sessions with me or one of my team members, because we can help you with this completely, reversing emotional suppression, reversing suppression of authentic desires, needs, wishes, doing the shadow work, and truly stepping into your power. If you've made it this far, thank you. Please like, subscribe, share this video with a person or a friend whom you might think could use it too. And yeah, ask your questions below if you have any, because I will definitely respond or use it as input for a new video. And yeah, see you in the next.